Alright, a wonderful good morning my friends, and welcome back to the channel with the Latin phrases. Today, mens sana in corpore sanum, which roughly translates to a beautiful mind in a beautiful body. And that of course references me getting my fat fuck body back in shape. And to honor that, I'll be doing 10 additional push-ups after each loss. Of course, anyone who's also trying to get into shape can follow suit, but I'm the only one who's obligated to do it. No, but jokes aside, well, I will do it, but jokes aside, talking about magic here a little bit. So I was playing the Modern Super Challenge, or Super Qualifier, on the weekend. I started out with a 3-0 and a couple of really good plays, I think. But as it always goes, here in Europe, these tournaments start pretty late, between 4 and 5 p.m. So if you have to work the next day, which I did, you cannot really play until midnight or early in the morning. So I dropped out after a couple of rounds. Nonetheless, there was a couple of takeaways from the challenge, also reflected in the results over the weekend. The meta is currently, I would say, pretty concentrated around combo decks. So Hammertime, Living End, Footfalls has won, I think, both challenges this weekend. And therefore, it's just something that we have to look out for and that we have to combat. And I wanted to adjust the sideboard a little bit to pay tribute to that. So a little bit more flexible now. I cut the 3 copies of each card, Flusterstorm, Doughty, and Fulminator Mage. And I went with Thoughtseize in the 1-drop slot here for 1 Flusterstorm and 1 Flame Blitz. Flame Blitz, a very good card against control decks with Planeswalkers, but not, and mid-range decks, but not very good against combo and anything else, basically. So here with Thoughtseize, I have an additional copy of Disruption, early game Disruption against combo decks, also very good against Living End, of course, and therefore I'm pretty happy with it. I wanted to include 2 Thoughtseize for a long time now. I just made the room to fit it in. Of course, as I said, it comes at a trade-off, but I think that's fine. Then at the 2-drop slot, I cut a Doughty because they're outside of Living End. There's not a whole lot of maybe 4C creativity, but they also have a lot of creativity, as the name suggests. So Doughty, a good card, but in multiples it's redundant, and therefore I cut 1 copy there and went with the Dress Down, because I also cut a Necroplasm, and the Dress Down helps us a little bit against the constructs, but also can play, or can be boarded into creature decks, and there it can help with Sanctify, Unblock, etc. I cut down Fulminator Mage because outside of Tron and maybe Amulet Titan, I don't currently see a whole lot of decks where I want to have Fulminator Mage, and that should still be enough in combination with Alpine Moon. And then there's a new card here that I want to talk about, that's Bontu's Last Reckoning. So I was playing Damnation a couple of weeks ago, and that always felt a turn too slow. Bontu's Last Reckoning does have a significant downside in that your lands don't untap for the next turn, but on the upside, you can completely invalidate, like, a Living End. You get rid of a board state where your opponent has, 4 Rhinos, etc. But it also does have very many applications against other go-wide creature decks where, I wanted to have additional answers to. And I was thinking about Anger of the Gods because, that's very good against Yawgmoth. But in the end, I settled off on Bontu's Last Reckoning because I think it does the job the best for what I wanted to do, and I only really need to bring it in against decks that go wide and go high at the same time. Otherwise, if it's just constructs, I can go with these 3 cards and potentially like a Fulminator Mage or whatever. Bontu's Last Reckoning really in there to get rid of very nasty board states. Alright, so that's that for the deck tech. Let's jump into a league. Alright, welcome to round number 1. And here we see something that in a cyclical manner seems to happen to Moto. I don't know why, if they purposely fuck up the shuffling logarithm or whatever, but like for the last couple of days, my shuffling or my starting hands have been so skewed and so bad. So I think I'm gonna ditch these 2, so I have a little bit of removal, and then I hopefully can fill the hand back up with Seasoned Pyromancer. But yeah, so it's really a struggle to either get lands or, on the other hand, not get lands at all. Just get lands, sorry. So just really, really weird and not very good. Also, it's always a little bit of a stretch to suggest such a thing, but WotC has been meddling so much with these things on Moto that sometimes I even think that they want the meta to change, and maybe just, by doing so, it just favors linear strategies over the one or the other or whatever. It's just something that happens from time to time. It's really weird. But, of course, that's a little bit of a stretch. Alright. So we still need another red source here. Our opponent seems to have been banking a lot. Does have a shredder as well. Come on. Yeah. Alright, so that's a red source, but it might be a little bit too late. Depending on what our opponent does. I mean, he's also apparently stuck on lands. Or non-lands, depending on how you want to see it. But had we drawn that there, then we would be in a good spot. Now we're probably in a pretty bad spot. Just due to the fact that our opponent probably does have a counterspell. But I think I'm gonna keep the counterspell up here, see if we draw null lands. As long as my opponent's stuck. Which he isn't anymore. So our opponent could have Knock Mage Charm here. Maybe he wants to take the opportunity. No, he does not. Okay, so this at least gives me the opportunity to get rid of the Ledger Shredder, which is also okay. So let's fight right here. See if it does have something. It needs to have a counterspell. So it does have a counterspell, which we anticipated. Then of course he gets to Connie here. But hopefully he doesn't have another Spell Pierce. Alright. And then let's see. Maybe he does have another land plus. Nope. Good. So then we finally get to deploy our Pyromancer here. And I think I want to take it. Take the other two here. in order to potentially draw either a Drown Loch or a counterspell. Alright. Alrighty, I guess. So now, I guess a Murktide is probably not beatable for us. Ledger Shredder is not too bad as of right now. Alright, so what can we do here? I think what we're trying to do is we're going to attack CV blocks. And then we're going to fetch for 1 and return the Seasoned Pyromancer. Alright. Return and discard. Opponent gets Connie, but he doesn't have anything that can get rid of my Seasoned Pyromancer here on the stack at the very least. Alright. And then it all comes down to, as I said, Murktide. Nothing else in our opponent's deck is relevant. It's just Murktides. And my opponent knows it. I think. I think he is actively looking for another land here. Okay, discard a land actually. Alright. So he's attacking for 2, we're attacking for 3. Plus we have a Lightning Bolt, plus we have the Seasoned Pyromancer in our graveyard. So he cannot really attack into it. Into our open mana, I mean. So I think I'm just gonna attack here. We're gonna keep the Archmage Charm back in order to potentially counter a Murktide. Alright, just a land there. And the Ledger Shredder. Okay. And there we have the Ragamon. So we get rid of one of those. Does have another Unholy Heat here. And another Ragavan, alright. So that was definitely a mistake here. Probably didn't see it or whatever. But attacking right into my elementals, obviously not the best play. Alright, so this is actually a pretty decent draw. So the Ledger Shredder is a pretty slow clock here. And whatever he plays next, like if he does have another creature, alright, does have another Ledger Shredder. Let's see what he discards. Do I want to stop this? This is definitely the pivotal moment here. I think I'm gonna let it resolve. Because whenever he plays next turn, I can counter. And we just need to draw either one removal spell or... Yeah, I think I'm gonna let it resolve. One Cryptic, one removal spell. We have a lot of good outs. Because we're always getting 3 damage through, so any Lightning Bolt's lethal, any Snapcaster Mage is lethal. Alright, so... Gonna kill that one. And then... We're gonna attack in. And I assume he's gonna block the Brazen Borra. No, the only creature that doesn't die, apparently. Wow, what a top deck. What a fucking top deck, dude. That would have been, wow. Alright, so we got him here. Like, aside from Murktide, I think our opponent really had a very decent draw there. And we were on a mulligan to 5, right? That we got there. Actually pretty insane. So, Flusterstorm, Unlicensed Hearse, and I could actually see Bontu's Last Reckoning here. Like, it's an additional card that does get around, or can deal, no, not on the draw. Well, maybe. It can deal with the Murktide pretty efficiently. Of course, we need to find our spot to utilize it. Maybe it's actually good here. Like, if we get a Murktide plus something else, that's very, very good. And I think on the draw, actually, this is slightly better than the Thoughtseize. Maybe one, maybe just one. Maybe one Thoughtseize, one Bontu's Last Reckoning. Probably don't want to be stuck with a couple of them. So we have a little bit of both going on there. Typically I would only bring in the Thoughtseizes, but we can test out if Bontu's Last Reckoning does feel okay in this matchup. Because I feel like if we're getting a 2-for-1 on the creature side, especially if there's an early Murktide, then it's very difficult for our opponent to rebuild from there. And 2 Thoughtseizes could also be a little bit heavy on. Now we definitely keep this. Turn 1 Ragavan again. I'm still gonna start off with this. Otawara, actually one of the best cards in the matchup once you're behind. Yeah, it's a pretty good, like, Ragavan into Ledger Shredder is just a really good sequence overall. So I think I want to keep up Counter Magic here to potentially prevent Alright, so our opponent wants to double spell here. Connie's away Murktide. That's interesting. So probably has another one in hand, right? So we're gonna leave the Ledger Shredder be the Ledger Shredder for a bit, I think. So our opponent does have 3 cards in his graveyard. So right now a Kolaghan's Command would still be effective. And him like conning away a Murktide feels like there might be another one on the horizon. But I also cannot, like, if he does have a Mishra's Bauble in hand and gets it to be a 3/3, then I cannot kill it with a K command anymore. So, alright. So let's go with Croxa here. Make him discard an additional card. And then there's 2 things that can happen. Either, like, best case scenario is probably that we draw another land anyway. Alright, he discarded another land there. And then we first bounce the Murktide. That's probably coming down. Unless he's gonna go with Expressive Iteration here. Yeah, does have a Murktide. And wants to trigger the Ledger Shredder. Okay. And that is looking pretty grim. TBH. Yeah. So he went all in on the Murktide, so yeah, it also depends on what we draw. Bonzo's Last Reckoning now would of course be very good. And this situation is what I was talking about, right? So we know if we would draw a Thoughtseize off the top, that would have been a second Bonzo's Last Reckoning. Yeah, alright. So now it's coming down to... No? Yeah, we're triggering the Connie, which is a little bit annoying, but we get rid... Like, this was our... basically one of our only outs here. To deal with the shit. So that was actually pretty lucky, but we're gonna be tapped out for another turn here. But our opponent cannot rebuild here. Insanely interesting. Alright. And then afterwards we have Unlicensors. Let's see. This turn's the most relevant. And our opponent just passes, apparently. If he passes, then we do have a decent spot. Despite being at 6, that's 2 bolts. Alrighty. Snapcaster actually also not the worst, TBH. So I think our opponent keeps up counter magic pretty certainly, right? So I don't want to play the Unlicensed first into a counter spell because he can pay for it. So let's go with the Snapcaster first. See if we trigger anything here, because he also has to be aware of the Croxa, of course. Oh, it dressed down. Okay. Alright, whole Storm Giants here, and then we're gonna go and play this one out. And I think we're gonna take this one and no, we're gonna wait for the dress down because we know our opponent's playing Dragon Rage Channeler as well. I want to keep the Snapcaster Mage back for the most part. Alright, so there's a Dragon Rage Channeler. So we're going after Dress Down and Mishra's Bauble. But we could also do that next turn because then he has to attack. And then we have a decent block. That might be something as well that we could do. So let's go after... Well, let's do it differently. So he has 4... Well... Can I take something away? How many creatures does he have? 5. Alright, so let's go with Murktide and Ledger Shredder first. Because we can potentially get a really decent block out of it. All depends. So I'm going to wait with everything for his turn. So that my Flusterstorm is more relevant. Alright, let's crew here. Oh no, I cannot actually do it this way. I have to do this first. Then block with a Snapcaster Mage. And then potentially return it with the K command. And protect that both with a Flusterstorm. Okay, let's go consider. Alright, I want to have that, but I don't need to do it right now. I first want to return and have discard. Return and, whoops, no. Return and discard. This way. Okay. Did have an Unholy Heat here. Alright. So then we're at 5. Now I can play the Croxa. And I could, in theory, I could bounce this. Then play the Croxa, discard the Ledger Shredder. We have a blocker for a potential Murktide. And we even have ways of getting rid of it entirely, so that's pretty alright, I think. And then, yeah, I probably don't need to go after. Yeah, we have a solution for the Murktide anyway if it comes, so that's fine. Alright, opponent drawing 2 cards. And also does have Expressive Iteration, pretty good draw. And the Mishra's Bulbul. Alright, so now I'm gonna go after stuff here. And our opponent's gonna have a look at what he's gonna draw. Doesn't like it, wants to fetch, that's fine. So we have a 2-turn clock, right? And we also have the ability to discard a lot, plus potentially double Flusterstorm. And we can also hold the board. Discard a counterspell, interesting. So seems to be getting ready here for something. I think Murktide at this point isn't too relevant because we just have too much stuff. So problematic is double bold here, I think. So I'm gonna let this resolve. Just adds to the storm count. He probably won't survive next turn. Exiled another Expressive Iteration. Alright. So this time, I think I am gonna go with Flusterstorm. Because apparently he doesn't have yet what he wants to find. Alright, also no Murktide. So he has to have... Okay. So let's first rid him of Mishra's Bulbul and Counterspell, because that should... No, there's still an Unholy Heat. Alright. Now I think I'm gonna bring in Brazen Bora. He could have another Unholy Heat though. Alright, so now we have him. GG's. I think that was actually a pretty good game. So no push-ups here. Welcome to round number 2. We're going to keep this, although I already smell that we're going to be stranded. Let's shock. Just in case we draw another blue source, then I want to be able to have counterspell up depending on what we play against. Are we playing against Murktide again? Oh, come on. So boring. But okay. Also, these games are actually pretty mentally taxing, therefore. Pretty annoying. So we're definitely going to keep the Brazen Borrow back here. Interesting. So obviously I would have liked to kill that with a Kolaghan's command rather than a fail push, but it's okay. Land. Yeah. And this is exactly what I anticipated, and it's what always happens. Like, you have 2 lands in hand on the play, and you just don't draw a third one. But you draw 3 copies of the same shit otherwise. And there's the Ledger Shredder. So I think I'm going to bounce it here. Currently he's pretty far away from a Murktide, and he also doesn't have a third land. Come on. Oh, come on. Yeah, it's pretty annoying. And these are just quirks of Moto. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just so weird. It's just so weird. So our opponent does consider here, and then we're probably getting an issue with the Murktide. Draws the card on top though. Probably a land. Alright, we drew a land, just not the one that we need or want. So let's hope this turn no Murktide, then we can talk. Otherwise we somehow have to deal with it, and that's gonna be difficult. Because at this point we probably only have another Brazen Borrow or Bloodsheath Thirst as an out. Pass the turn, pass the turn, pass the turn. No Murktide, thank goodness. Alright. So we're gonna keep mana up. So that we have something to do for end of turn. We can return creatures for forever, basically. So our opponent currently does not have a Murktide in hand. I do consider countering the counterspell here, because our opponent doesn't have a threat, apparently. So I think this is actually correct. Restricting our opponent, because otherwise he has 3 additional draws, and if he has a Murktide with counterspell backup, that, you know, we're dying as well. Ragavan. So I think he knows what's on top, so yeah, he wanted to have that Water Grave out of the system here. Oh, it does have a Murktide as well. Alright, so that was... So he drew a Ragavan and Murktide on the top, and took our Water Grave as well. And does have Counter Magic now up as well. So yeah, that's not gonna fly. Let's consider. No, I probably need that. And then, assuming that our opponent does have a counterspell, I first have to go after the Ragavan, which will fail. But maybe we can put enough pressure on him. It's a Ledger Shredder. Alright, so Connie's here. Now with Spell Pierce, spells our doom. But on the upside, theoretically, our opponent could have no Spell Pierce, and if that were to be the case, then we have enough creatures, enough cards in the graveyard to kill the Murktide, actually. But it's unlikely. Our opponent has seen quite a few cards here. Alright, cool. And we got rid of a Lightning Bolt. That's actually quite significant. So now we only need to find a solution for the Ledger Shredder. Is that correct? We don't have to play around the Spell Pierce anymore as well. So let's get rid of this. Then let's get rid of this. Alright, and now we're pretty good. Like, except for another Murktide as well, of course. But, yeah, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. Alright. Cryptic Command. Okay, now he has something. Huh. That's pretty problematic. I think I need to try to counter here. We don't know what our opponent does have in hand, but it's very likely a counter spell. But I think we need to do something here. Okay, it's not a counter spell. So then it's probably just a Lightning Bolt. Alright, now we found another Brazen Bar. That's actually a pretty good draw. I like it. Also, now we're really, like, our opponent's really close now to also being in our range or reach. Another one? Oh, come on, dude. Alright, let's play Brazen Borer right now. In response to the expressive iteration. And then we shall see what our opponent gets to play. 2 expressive iterations in a row, what a lucker. Okay, Dragon Rage Chandler. But we have a blocker for it. And we can return the... Alright, so I assume that he did have this Lightning Bolt. And he put a core on top. Right. So how do I solve this best? I think I'm gonna go with... I have double black, I have double red, but I don't have both at the same time, so I'm gonna go with a black source here, so I can also facilitate a Croxa. And then we're gonna try to bounce this. Does have a removal spell, but he put the card on top again. So, very much depends, right? So our opponent could have a Murktide on top. He could have an Expressive Iteration on top. If you had another Expressive Iteration here, then we're probably fucked in either case. But I think I need to get the Snapcaster down. Kill the Dragon Rage Channeler. And then if it's a Murktide or a Ledger Shredder, could also have put like a counterspell on top, right, to protect it. But that seems a little bit weird. He already had a counterspell in hand, so I don't know. Could be a variety of things. I hope that it's a Murktide. Nah, well, I don't hope that it is one, but I kind of expect it to be one. No, it's a counterspell. Or a removal spell? Okay. So next turn we also have Hall of Storm Giants potentially if we draw a land. So it wasn't an Expressive Iteration. I think it's a counterspell. Could also have been a Ragavan that he wanted to protect. I think I'm gonna have a look here. I can't fetch for an island, so that's fine. Ha 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 ha. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Fucking had the fourth Ragavan there. Motherfucker. Alright, we have lethal. GG's. What a close one. What a close one. I thought this was definitely already a loss. What a close game. Alright. Got there. So, now we're doing it a little bit differently than last time. I want to have both Pontus of Reckoning, because I think they're actually pretty decent. Then both of these, and then... Well, actually, we're two cards. Oh, yeah, I wanted to cut two Kolaghan's commands. Yes. That's fine. So the reason why our opponent's burn plan is a little bit more efficient now than it used to be, or effective, is that they are up to 4 lightning bolts again, which, you know, anyone with a brain knew it was wrong to cut a lightning bolt out of these tempo decks. But anyway. They got around to it. So now with Bontu's Last Reckoning, we actually have at least 6 ways to get rid of a Murktide. In combination with Thoughtseize and Unlicensed Hearse, we actually have quite a few, and Drownloch occasionally. Let's see if this is gonna work out. Ooh. So our opponent had a Snapkeep there. Our hand is decent, but I don't think we can keep it. If we're running into a Ragavan with protection and or a Ledger Shredder, we're basically dead. So we're gonna keep this, and I think I'm gonna ditch the Snapcaster. Alright, so that wasn't the thing. Then the other hand could have actually been functional. Yeah. There's the Ledger Shredder, so that would have allowed for us to deploy the Unlicensed Hearse. Of course, we're on the draw, so maybe we would have drawn a removal spell at this point, but that's not for sure. Therefore, still alright with the play pattern there. Alrighty. So I'm thinking about maybe fetching for a basic. Like sometimes these lists are running like 1 Magus of the Moon, 1 Blood Moon. And while we can get rid of a Magus of the Moon, we really cannot get rid of a Blood Moon. So it doesn't trigger it here, but could potentially. I think, so if I play into that thing, right? I think this seems to be a trap. I don't want to lightning bolt here. I think I'm just gonna let it, let the polluted delta also be a polluted delta. And then we should be able to get it with a lightning bolt here. If he wants to spell pierce and 2-for-1 himself, that's fine with me as well. Or Flusterstorm, so we can handle either of them. So now it comes down to what he fetches here. Alright, fetches a Steam Vent, so now I'm not as... Because by now he would have definitely fetched for a basic island if he had the opportunity to play Blood Moon there. So now I'm not as much against it. I think I'm just gonna let this resolve. I could of course look for like a Flusterstorm, but the chances of me finding one here are pretty slim. And our opponent could be playing something else here. Unlicensed Hearse. Pretty risque, TBH. Alright. So I'm pretty sure that our opponent does have means of interacting with us here. On the other hand, though, I want him to spend his counter spells so that potentially we can play a Brazen Borrow onto a Murktide. And of course, the later in the game, the worse the Unlicensed Hearse becomes, so. Let's think for a moment here and then decide we'll let this resolve. Alright, now he does have it. And definitely also does have a counter spell. I mean, he could also have like a Flusterstorm. So I'm not gonna do it in his turn here. Pretty sure that we would just be running into a counter. I guess one thing that could also be the case would be like, well, try it. Maybe he has 2 counter spells in hand. Maybe it's just a combination of a couple other cards. Yeah. This is what that's why I was shocking Mystical Dispute, just didn't know the name actually. But he does have Flusterstorm as well. Spell Pierce. Okay, so we anticipated everything correctly. So I'm pretty happy with that, but obviously still weren't able to deal with it overall. And it's probably gonna be pretty difficult to race him here. Gotta try it. But yeah. We still have a decent amount of outs to it. Our opponent apparently doesn't have removal spells, so that means there's 3 counters in his hand still. And we're on a 1-turn clock. Yeah, 3 lands in a row doesn't do it. Alright. We did everything we could there with the tools available to us. We just drew a little bit too many lands. Won't change anything. So our opponent definitely cut down on hello? Why can I not play this? It's already on 62 cards. Okay, so maybe I did play it. I don't know. So our opponent, a lot of 1-mana interactions. So I think I'm just gonna go with Dottie here on the play. Because he cut down on removal spells 100%. Alright, let's keep. Then start off with the Thoughtseize, although that's going to cost us dearly in terms of mana. In terms of life. But then we have a turn 2 Unlicensed Hearse into a turn 3 Counterspell backup Fail Push. So I don't care about these cards right now, I think. So I think I'm just gonna go with the Ledger Shredder here. Could also take the Flusterstorm, of course. But I think we have to get rid of the creatures. Alright, my cat's trying to come in again. She's super cute. Super cute. She's also super annoying. Alright, Bloodshot Thirst. Let's try to deploy this. Let's see, we drew a... Okay. did not indeed draw. The spell pierce off the top. Now Ragavan, of course, would be a little bit of a bummer. Expressive Iteration, though, is okay, I think. So Murktide from this point on basically dead. And we have a big thing on the battlefield as well that our opponent will have to deal with at some point. Misty Rainforest that he cannot play, so that was basically just a draw 1. And a Flusterstorm here is also decent. Alright, so I think we're gonna go and Flusterstorm this. Because Flusterstorming a Flusterstorm is not great in general. Our opponent's definitely trying to find creatures here. He's looking for threats that are probably not Murktides. Alright. So Snapcaster Mage would actually be pretty decent here, I think. Our opponent probably can't deal with it. So I'm playing lands to get around a Flusterstorm at some point. And then we're really just looking for some amount of creatures. Okay, so just a land, nothing else. We still know 2 or 3 of his cards. Our card is a 5/5 by now. I think a Thoughtseize is actually not too bad. Let's start off with the Thoughtseize here. Opponent does utilize a counterspell, which is fine. So our opponent definitely does have something else, right? So he's willing to trade 2 for 1 here for that Thoughtseize. That is such a weird play pattern at this point that I think I want to be cautious here, especially because our opponent could have a Jace and our Bloodshea Thirst isn't online. So if we get caught here by a Jace, I think that is the worst case scenario. Huh. Let's consider once. No. And then I'm just going to pass the turn. I want to have Fatal Push and Counterspell up. Alright, so Ledger Shredder I'm not too worried about. that's nothing that really concerns me here. So the problem is that our opponent can Connie. Let's try to fail push it first. He's gonna counter the fail push. Very likely. And then he gets a Connie. Oh, he does have another Flusterstorm. Okay. Alright, discarding Murktide regions. This is okay. No. 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 So now I could consider as well. I think I can do it next turn. Let's fetch for a basic. And now we're just, like, if this resolves, then we're just looking for creatures to, I'm gonna do it right now, because, alright, Lightning Bolt is okay-ish. It's not great, it's okay-ish. So now we're completely out of everything, but our opponent does still have cards in hand. This was certainly one of his stronger plays that he wanted to do here, but now also we have pretty much, like, we have very few dead cards off the top. Any creature would be really significant here. I think I have to play it, right? I have to take it. And then we're on a 2-turn clock, I think. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So he has to have a removal spell for my Brazen Bar, otherwise he's dead. Because he certainly cannot get rid of the unlicensors. Or a blocker would also be something that he can do, of course. Expressive Iteration? No, it's a Ragavan dashed. Okay. Flusterstorm. So our opponent does have one card in hand and a Ragavan. One unknown card in hand and a Ragavan. But I assume that he wouldn't have done this if he didn't have a counterspell, right? Oh, maybe he would. Then that was just a super greedy play, TBH. Like, I don't know why you would play it in this way. Maybe he thought you had lost anyway, but he had a removal spell for... Well, I don't know. Seems like this wasn't correct. Okay, GG's. Alright, welcome to round number 3. We're on the draw, and we do have a capable hand. This is actually something like that you always want to look out for. 3 lands, 4 spells, obviously the best ratio. The deck basically functions at 100%. Alright, so this might be Yawgmoth. Or not. It's a John Saga list. Alrighty. So, let's see. I think I'm gonna play a Creeping Torpid tapped here. And then we're gonna try to build to the Seasoned Pyromancer. If our opponent does have... So he's seen the Lightning Bolt. So he's probably gonna go with a Ren and 6 if he does have the ability. But we have the Bloodshie's first for it. Alright, so just a Tarmogoyf. Let's get rid of the Tarmogoyf. There's it. Ah, damn it. Alright. Alrighty. A Ragavan dashed. And this, you know, like if our opponent doesn't have a land here, that's the difference between fucking Ren and 6 and no Ren and 6. Well, okay, he even does have Norza Saga. Okay, that's fine. Oh. So I think we're gonna ditch both of our Cruxes here. So we can play them out next turn. Alternatively, I could also play a Cruxa. No, I think I wanna do this. I guess my opponent's gonna draw a card other than that. Pirate Spellbomb, potentially. Pooh. No fucking land. Alright. Yeah, our opponent's drawing a card. And let's see now if he's gonna go with the Saga. Probably wants to find his Nil Spellbomb that he's also playing. Might even... I don't know. Let's see. Yep, it's going with the Snapcaster. Well, that is unfortunate. So if we had the Cruxa here, I think we win easily from this point onward. But as it stands right now, so I think I want to ditch this. Alright, so now we at least have Cryptic Command up next turn. Also, I can bounce one of his tokens. We're going to be pretty aggressive here. And then I strongly assume that our opponent is also mainboarding Nil Spellbomb and can go after our graveyard here. Super lucky there for our opponent, I think. Otherwise, he would have to at least spend 3 cards onto it. But anyway. We're still not out of it. Yeah, he's going with the constructs. Let's see if he does have one. No, just has a Mishra's Bulbul. Interesting. Ha! Well, alright then. Wow, that was so extremely... Like, if we had, like, we could have even run a counterspell here. That would have probably fucked him. But anyway. So we're taking that way, which means that Seasoned Pyromancer at the very least has a decent... I think we're gonna wait. Just wait here for a turn. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that's actually a good attack. Even if he does force me to, yeah. But that's still okay, I think. Because we can get it back with a Kolaghan's command at some point. If this is a Ren and 6, I'm definitely going to get rid of it. Yeah, I don't care about Shadow Spear. There we go. Land. Okay. So now we have multiple options here. I can go with either K command, return the Seasoned Pyromancer, or I can first go with the Brazen Borra. I assume that our opponent does have some sort of removal spell in hand because he didn't play any removal up until this point in the game. Also, he's got so many targets for that. Where's the Saga? It's crazy. But I think we get him here. I do believe we get him here. Yep, and that doesn't sound like our opponent found something really good. And I think I'm just gonna let this resolve. Puts our opponent down to 6. And then he probably concedes. We have like a lot of shit. A lot of stuff. Got rid of the crit command, interesting. I mean, then you're dead, right? Oops. Yeah. Return and deal 2 damage. Alrighty, so let's think about this. So I don't really want to have these cards, I think. I do want to have Necroplasm. Because that card, wow. Wait. So I think I want to have Dress Down, actually. I do want to have Unlicensed Hearse. I do want to have Alpine Moon. That's all the things I want to have. I think all the other cards in our deck are good. And then we have to decide on whether or not I want to go top end heavy or bottom end heavy. So Brazen Borra is good against the constructs as well. But it's very bad against Ren and 6 on the board. Also, it cannot block anything. But the built-in removal, in addition to the 4K commands, also we need creatures. So I think Brazen Borra is back in. Okay, so that leaves me with... I don't think I want to have the Thoughtseize here. Dori does make his life a little bit more difficult, but cannot block a Ragavan. I think I'm gonna go with the Archmage Charm here, just to have a little bit of extra utility and drawing power in there. Okay, thanks Moto. That certainly isn't it. Okay, so keep and ditch one of these. That way we're pretty weak to a Ren and 6. But we have play against basically everything else. Alrighty, a Ragavan. So... If I go with a basic mountain here, what could my opponent have? Like, do they play Veil of Summer? Maybe I want to go with Blood Crypt, actually. So let's play a Scalding Tarn and pass the turn. And then I can decide on whether or not I want to go with a Fail Push or the Lightning Bolt. So I strongly assume that my opponent does have a Ren 6, right? But if... I think... Just gonna get so blown out if I run into a Veil of Summer here. But what would they play Veil of Summer for, though, right? Let's go with the Lightning Bolt. Alright, no Ren and 6 at the very least. That is okay. And the K command can return the Season Pyromancer at some point. Kind of think that, like, if my opponent had the ability there, he probably would have gone with... So I don't want to have this. Okay. There's the Brazen Borera. So the Brazen Borera can... bounce the Ren and 6. So that means right now, right? Yeah, I think I want to do it right now. Then he has to decide on whether or not he wants to go with it again, but then he won't be able... So basically this is a tempo play that will be the same as getting rid of a construct. Because he can take his stuff back, but if he does... Oh, okay. Let's see. Also a little bit funny, at the very least a little bit funny, that like in both mulligans we didn't draw any of our... Okay, so he's gonna go fetch Renin 6, return with a Saga. Let's see. So any K commands, any Lightning Bolt, any Snapcaster Mage, any Bloodshy Thirst helps us out. Yeah, return your Saga and shut the fuck up. Okay. So we're gonna fetch for a tricolor land so that we also can deploy our Major Charm if we need to. Okay, so it's not great, it's not perfect. Would have been better if we were able to play that Season Power Mensa out, but at least we have a couple of people, blockers, whatever. Stuff to annoy the Renin 6 with. Of course, it's possible that he has multiples of them, and maybe I should even make... Oh no, I cannot ignore it, because he's just gonna mow down all of our creatures. Yeah, and still, like, Renin 6 is just such a joke. So our opponent does know what we're having on top here. I guess no. Alright, so Snapcaster Mage. Huh. So we can either go Fatal Push the Tarmogoyf and then attack in with both elementals, or we get rid of the Renin 6 directly. But at this point, I think we need to go after the Goyf. Because the strongest thing that our opponent can do is cycling this Warriors Saga over and over, right? It's super annoying. But we also do have a couple of options or solutions for it actually in our deck. Let's see. Yeah, we have a lot of solutions for it actually. Like Dress Down. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff. Alright, Spell Bomb. Alright, so I guess we're still going after him. Of course, you can kill my Snapcaster Mage. And from here on out, it's an uphill battle. I'm not gonna lie. So our opponent apparently isn't playing Liliana, I think. But he has to be playing something that has two two of the same mana symbol. Because otherwise he would be playing Gigantha. So we're gonna wait and see. Like wait for as long as possible here. Because I want to see whether or not my opponent plays Liliana. Maybe he took him out. It's also a possibility. So I think Dress Down could still potentially get us back into the game. Probably nothing else though. Like getting rid of the... Oh, our opponent apparently... Like he wouldn't do this if he had a lot of stuff in his hand. So maybe he just doesn't have a whole lot going on. Yeah, alright. Thank you for nothing. No! Alrighty. So now on the play, I'm gonna take out those and I'm gonna bring in the Dories, I think. And I might actually even want to bring in the Thoughtseizes as well. So we haven't seen Veil of Summer. We have a lot of cards that are good here, I think. So how good do I think is the Thoughtseize? My cute little cat coming on here again. She needs to be caressed just a little bit. Sorry for that. So, yeah, I think I need to have a little bit of a top end. And since I don't want to commit to Cryptic Command here, okay, let's keep. We have some stuff. It's not perfect, but we have some stuff. If the Unlicensed Hearse doesn't work out, we have the Croxa. We have the Consider to fill the graveyard and potentially find either a removal spell for Ragavan or more land. The Archmage Charm, well, is still a little bit off. Well, I would have two Thoughtseizes here that would have probably been actually pretty decent. So let's see, if our opponent goes on with a Ragavan here, yeah, then we might have an issue. I think I need to play the Hearse anyway. We have so much removal in our deck. Like, if the Ragavan... Come on. So close. Yeah, he probably wants to take the Consider here, honestly. Everything else is pretty mediocre. Interesting. Veil of Summer. Nope. And then let's try. If we run into a Veil of Summer, we're probably dead here. Does have it as well. That's insane. That's actually legitimately, it's insane. That is actually insane. I couldn't play around it here. Just wasn't any way to do that. That was incredible luck, zero skill. But let's see. Now any land off the top for us should get us to Kroxa. Sadly, that would have been one of them. And we can also try to steal the Ragavan. Tarmogoyf, okay. So probably want to get rid of 2 cards of my own graveyard here to grow it to being a 4/4 and doing stuff as well. Too fucking late. Too fucking late. Fuck. Alright. We shall see. Such a lucky Veil of Summer. Such a lucky Veil of Summer. Insane. If it had been reversed as well, like if we had if he had gotten the Blood Chiefs first and we had gotten the Lightning Bolt there, you know, things would have been differently. But anyway, nothing we can do about. So we're taking 5. Drown Loch would also be just a good draw for us. Man. This really, like, with a Cascade Blast, we would... Oh, fuck off. What a joke. What a fucking joke. What a fucking joke. Yeah, well. Never didn't have it, right? And then we draw basically the only land in our deck that won't help us here, but would have gotten the Cruxa out of the bin. Oh man, what the fuck. Well, you got away with it this time around, opponent. Oh my goodness, I cannot actually believe how much bad luck we had this game. Oh man, well. Alright, welcome to round number 4. I did my due and went with 10 push-ups. So after the next loss, it will be 20. And then if we lose all 3 in a row, that'll be 30 for the last one. So overall 60. Yeah, so due to COVID, I actually wasn't able to do anything for around 4 weeks. So now I will have to do a little bit for the ladies, you know. Actually, just one lady, so not that many. And now we're playing against Urza, and we have a hand that is not very good against Urza. Also on the draw. But let's see. Alright, so this at the very least looks like we're not going to be hit by a turn 3 Tron. Stitch that. Tron Loch's not the best. So, we're gonna go and counter this. It's of course always possible that our opponent draws into Tron, but on the other hand, oh shit, does have another expedition map here. Let's be a little bit mindful and do this. So then he either has the last Tron land in hand or a payoff, but he cannot have both. We have 3 counter spells in hand, so we shall see. Alright, Sanctum of Ugin is in the Tron land. I think I'm gonna wait for a turn till we find a 4th land, and then I might want to do the Crux up. That was Tron up the top. So sadly, I cannot really counter it with the Drown Loch. Just a little short. So now, depends on whether or not he plays something. Okay, it's an Oblivion Stone. Don't care about an Oblivion Stone. So let's see. I need to shock here, and I do want to have double red. So return and draw a card, and I think I'm going to go with a tower. Although, this is the most beautiful card of them. And then he has 6 cards in his graveyard as well. So that means that I can counter most things. Oh shit. Ah, fuck, yeah. No, that was a mistake. I went for double red for Season Pyromancer, but didn't think about me having to have double black for Drownloch plus something and yeah, getting punished here. Okay. That was my bad. LOL! And our opponent fed for a tower instead of a power plant. Well, that was unfortunate, wasn't it? Alright, Walking Ballista. I think I'm gonna go with a Snapcaster just to get something on the board, on the ground. And counter this. A little bit of chip damage here. Oh man, my cat. I don't know if you hear it, probably not, because I activated noise cancelling. Alright, so sorry. Let's see. I think I want to do something here. Because he could, of course, find Tron. Yeah, let's go with this here. And then we're just gonna bounce this, I think, so that he cannot do it for a couple of turns. Then we play this, and then we can go with the Croxa, or with that Croxa, because for the next turn we're safe, and then we should get him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, no, that's a microphone. Please don't touch it. Yeah, she's still little. She touches everything that she can see and is very, very annoying most of the time. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think there's a whole lot that our opponent can draw here. Close the door, now she's out. Yeah, alright. So that's it. We're dealing 11 damage, and we still have like a Lightning Bolt in the graveyard as well, so we should get here. Also, if you're looking at the recent top results in the Super Challenge as well as the normal challenges, it's very interesting that Tron actually occupies a very decent amount of the meta, of the winners metagame, right? Almost 10% across the challenges of the weekend. So that really tells you that Tron does have a lot of game against certain decks, like 4C control, etc. But of course also does have a lot of bad matchups. So I need to get rid of one additional card. I think I want to get rid of 2 cards and bring in 1 Fluster Storm as well. Yeah, that should be okay. Nope. I'm almost inclined to keep this actually. So our opponent is on 7. I like the hand. I think I'm going to keep it rather than going down to 5 We're on the draw. We have 2 additional draws. We just need 1 more land. That's not a mountain. Let's see. Alright, Alpine Moon actually also good pickup, but need another land. He does have 2 mines, power plant here. So let's see. I think the Karn is the correct choice here, because if we get the Alpine Moon down, then the Ulamog shouldn't be that much of an issue anyway. Land. Alright, we're probably dead. I think it was a reasonable risk because we had a very good 1-2 punch, but Moto, I have to restart Moto probably up to this game. Okay, maybe our opponent doesn't have anything yet. Relic of Progenitus. Alright, that's a redraw. Nope. And that's an Alpine Moon. Oh man, we're really doing it here. Alright, so opponent already looking for a solution. I think so that he cannot do it in my turn, I'm gonna go with Urzas. So, very sorry I had to utilize enter there. So this way he cannot utilize Boseiju in my turn if he does have it. And we're gonna get another land out of it. So, let's see. Alright, so now another land. Maybe. That's not yet it. Oh man, we're really like, this is really a scrappy game. Man, this is scrappy. So we know our opponent does have 5 already. So he can do it here. Due to us drawing the mountain there, I cannot even deploy the Dottie plus something else. So we're definitely running into the Ulamog. So I need to keep Counterspell up. Let's see if he does have Ulamog plus Veil of Summer as well. Alright, so at least no Veil of Summer, I guess. Now it all comes down again to us drawing a land. Alright, I'll give up here. Now, so overall, I think it's still okay. Nothing I want to change. Would just be decent of Moto to give us a couple of spells and a couple of lands. I'm not asking for much, like in comparison to like other decks. I just want to have a couple of spells and a couple of lands. Yeah, I think our opponent is reconfiguring due to having seen Alpine Moon. Alright, let's keep. Let's say fuck it and keep. So we have a turn 2 Doughty. Very much depends on whether or not our opponent, of course, does have turn 3 Tron plus payoff or not. I could go with a Creeping Tar Pit here. Yeah, let's go with the Tar Pit. But I fear that we're running into another land here off the top, because that's just how Moto behaves. So it's a little sad here that our opponent did find a Chromatic Sphere instead of a Chromatic Star, because Chromatic Star doesn't trigger the draw through a Doughty because it doesn't enter the battlefield. Another Sphere. And another Sphere. So yeah, that was a little bit of variance there, I guess. So let's go fetch for Steam Vents, and then he has to have natural Tron here, pretty much. So I want to ditch this because, yeah, all right. Does he have it? All right, doesn't have it. Doesn't have it. So then we get into range of our cryptic command. And as I said, stars are off limits here. All right. Yeah, I can't do anything about it. All right, already had it and is going for Boseiju. Interesting. Could, of course, also mean that he goes with Karn plus Boseiju up and then goes with Veil of Summer, something like that. But if we catch something big and our opponent does not have Veil of Summer as a backup, then we can turn the tables here. So I think I want to go and just play Counterspell here. So let's say our opponent does have Mulamok off the top, right? He has to go after our Doughty, but I cannot play it anyway in response, so... Let's see. All right, that's probably an Ulamog. So yeah, it has to go after the Dottie here, and probably wants to take the tar pit as well. Yeah. Okay, so let's put the Ulamog into the graveyard though. Actually, I might counter and return here. I could also return the Dottie, of course, because then I actually have it and I cast it as well, right? I think I actually cast it, so I get the triggers, because I also get the triggers of Shardless Agent with it. So how important is it to get the Dottie here? Put him down to 8. I think Dottie is now too slow. So I'm gonna go counter, return. Dottie goes. If we draw the other Dottie, we still have access to the Ulamog. We know one of the cards in his hand is actually Boseiju, but he needs a green source to utilize it as well. Which he currently doesn't have. Alright, never mind. Alright, 2 cards in hand, one of which is Boseiju, which he probably utilizes right now. We drew our second copy of Drown Loch, which is not very good right now. Alright, Snapcaster Mage on the other hand does have a little bit of play to it. Let's counter the Relic of Progenitus with our other counters thing. So now I could play it risky and go with the Snapcaster Mage. But if I do that, then I'm pretty exposed and I need to draw a Lightning Bolt off the top. So I don't think I'm gonna do it. Especially because our opponent needs to maintain the green source here for the Boseiju. So I don't think that our opponent does have a play here that's super great, right? So we know he has a Boseiju in hand, and if I get to do stuff, so let's see. And this is definitely what he just drew off the top, right? So let's go Watergrave here. And then go Snapcaster. Cryptic. and then counter return. That leaves me the most options, I think. That's interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can put him to 2 with if I attack with the tar pit and leave the Snapcaster up. But I'm then at that point very much open to an Ulamog or a Karn or whatever that can take, or a Walking Ballista. I think he has too many outs here. So I'm gonna go with the Fulminator Mage. Get rid of the tower. He's got one more card in hand, right? That we just don't know what it is. Could it be another tower? He would have played it probably. If it was like a star or whatever, he would have played it as well. Do I go all in here? So I know he has one card Boseiju. He has to find a tower off the top and have a payoff. Or a Thragtusk. He could also find a Thragtusk off the top. What happens if he finds a Thragtusk? Do I die? He gets it once. I can attack again. That invalidates that basically, so he goes down to 5. And then I still win. If it's not a Walking Ballista. Does feel like I should attack with the Tribune Tar Pit here, and that's what I'm going to do. Because that puts Kolaghan's Command into reach. That puts a lot of stuff into reach, and he basically has to keep the forest open. Alright, so now what? So it's not Tron. Basically, I think he's drawn another Boseiju. Is he playing multiple? Oh, come on. Come on. Yeah, I have to try it here. If he does have Boseiju, I mean, there's no reason not to. Lord, I get the damage. I don't get it. Like, why would you play the Boseiju? So desperate to find something? Alright. I don't know. That was, like, that was weird, right? To a certain degree. Why would our opponent play the Boseiju there? Like, he had the ability to get rid of our, well, anyway. Another Snapcaster. Alright, yeah. Then it would be over, but still. Alright, welcome to the last round here. I did restart Magic Online, but apparently it didn't help. So we're on a mulligan again. Alright, let's get this. And then I guess one Bloodshie's first, as we don't know what our opponent is actually on. All right, looks like this could actually be Hammertime. Yeah, pretty sure that's Hammertime. So generally speaking, I don't want to give my opponent the additional draw here. He's very likely going with a Saga, right? Next turn. So I need black anyway. Yeah, I guess my opponent's probably going with the Saga, so let's get rid of the Esper Sentinel. I think we're gonna go with a Lightning Bolt because the Saga tokens are a little bit more sturdy, so I might need the Bloodshot Source down the road. Interesting. Alright, so he gets the multiple draws here, but he does not get the Saga trigger. So basically for us it's the same. There we go. Ornithopter and another Saga. Oh, come on. It's probably gonna be rough. Yep. So I think I'm gonna go after the Thopter here so that he doesn't get an additional mana there. Yeah, but we need to find some solutions of our own soonish as well. So he still has access to 2 mana here if he wants to go that route. My goodness. Yeah, apparently he wants to go that route here. This cat, my friends, this cat. All right. Maybe I should actually live stream, then it would at least be somewhat of a highlight. Yeah. All right, makes sense, I guess. Please give me. Oh, come on. So since they do play Black Chiefs, Blacksmiths, whatever, probably need to do it right now. And probably should have utilized Blood Chiefs first there. That was a misclick. So if we get rid of this token here, then I think we still have a chance. Otherwise, like if he does have another pure sea paladin there as well, then we're probably fucked. Okay, so let's see. Okay. So our opponent could have Black Sheath, whatever, Blacksmiths, something something as his last card in hand, right? But can we play around it here? I don't actually think so. I mean, if we had one more land, then we could probably. But this way we probably can't. But I want to do it before. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go for it here. Okay. So then at least we still have a chance. Alright, so if he does have a Pure Steel Paladin, then we're probably fucked. Inkmoth Nexus, alright. Please don't have a Pure Steel Paladin as our last card. Please don't. Alright, he's looking for one. Alright, alright. The Reality Chip. Okay, so this means we're probably still alive at the very least. And also he doesn't have Sigarda's 8, nor does he have Pure Steel Paladin. So that's something, I would say. So Season Pyromancer are not interesting right now. Alright. Yeah, I can only apologize for all the cat noises. Like, if I exclude her, she's just gonna meow in front of the door for the whole entire tournament here, all league. Just wants a little love and affection. Alright, so I think I need to bounce this stuff. And I think the best way of doing it actually is bouncing this thing, right? Alright, Otawara, actually something that could work. Ah, damn it. Alright, so, okay. Alright. Okay. So we do have can go with this. Then we have a couple of problems solved. And we do have a counterspell as well. Maybe I should have attacked first. That was actually not so great. And that was actually not super great. Anyway. Another Saga. Third one here. And that's Cauldra. Alright. So now Urza's Saga is gonna spell a couple of problems. And then after that, we're gonna run into Enigma's Nexus that does have Colossus Hammer attached to it as well. But I don't think that we have the luxury here of just doing nothing. So I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this. And I'm going to play this as well. Alright. Let's have a look here. No. Kill that one. Okay. So now, Hammer of the Top, we're dead. Pure Steel Paladin, we're dead. Everything else, we're not dead. Okay. So I think I have to do something here. If I just pass the turn, he will get his another hammer. I have a lot of good outs in my deck that I can draw. I really need to get rid of this construct. Yeah. Let's draw 2 cards, see where it takes us. Yeah, alright. 2 more lands. Sure. Then we're probably dead. So, what would have happened if I went for the construct here? I could have attacked for 6, he would have blocked. So I'm down to, he's down to 1. But then on the swing back, the Enigma's Nexus plus the Shadow Spear kill me. And I can't do a whole lot about it. So it's okay. We had to take our chances there. Didn't work out. Our opponent. Oh my, yeah, what? Alright. So, didn't see a single Kolaghan's command of our 4. Well, we do have a couple of things here. Okay, so this one's out, this one's out. And this one's not great either. Oh, let's have one. That's fine. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's like... Now, basically, our only goal is to get to 3 mana. And then we have so much potent stuff. Like, if we don't get completely fucked by luck. Let's see. I guess we keep. We have 2 removal spells, 3 plus a cooldowns command. That's not a hand that we can ditch, really. Should buy us a little bit of time. All right. So if he plays a 0 mana creature here, I'm inclined to just counter it. Oh well, we cannot even counter it. Sorry. Alright, so now we need that. Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. Let's deploy Snapcaster so that we have a blocker. And then I think, oh my god, this is so fucked up. Yeah, let's just attack. Like even Drownloch or Alpine Moon, like we have 22 really good outs here. Plus, if you count a couple of removal spells as well, I guess. But yeah. Probably another Springleaf Drum. I think he has something else in his hand. We're just not drawing fucking lands. Fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. It's always the fucking same. It's for fucking program. Fuck. Just one fucking land. And I already know it that, you know, right the turn after we lost, we would have drawn our next land. Or the Alpine Moon. Fuck this shit. It definitely does have protection. I even think that he does have another blacksmith skill here. It's fucking insane. It's really fucking insane. Fucking insane. Yeah, let's try. We're gonna get countered here or blacksmiths, whatever. But there's not a whole lot that we can do about it. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. Alright, we're gonna take the 10 down to 3. Yeah, great. It's fucking insane. I knew it right before we lost. We draw the land, have to shock, and then die. Well, anyway. This is so fucking fuck this shit. His last card is also going to be protection. Just law. Let's do this and then go with the K command. Dude, if you have interaction, just play the interaction. What are we waiting for here? Come on. Dude, either you have something or you don't. What are we talking about here? Yeah, great. I mean, can't play around everything. What a fucking joke.